Please, father, don't let her do this!
The decision is made. You will marry the blind beggar tomorrow, unless you want your father's entire kingdom to starve.
To understand how a princess ends up begging on her knees to avoid marriage, we must go back 20 years. Amara's mother dies giving birth to her. King Nkiru, drowning in grief, barely notices his daughter exists. When Zainab arrives with her own daughter Halima 1 year later, she seems like her answer to prayer. Beautiful, attentive, kind. She cools over baby Amara, tells the king she'll love her like her own. The performance lasts exactly 3 months. On Amara's 4th birthday, Zainab burns all her toys. She's too old for childish things, she tells the servants. That same day, she convinces King Nkiru that Amara doesn't need formal education. Girls only need to know how to serve their husbands, Zainab whispers in his ear at night. Let her learn practical skills. Practical skills mean scrubbing floors, washing clothes, serving meals to Halima, who sits like a queen while her stepsister stands silent in the corner. The tutors come for Halima when she turns 5. Amara watches through the window as her stepsister learns to read, to write, to speak like royalty. Amara is 8 years old now, still illiterate, still sleeping on a mat in the storage room. When she finally begs her father for school, he gives in, but only slightly. She enters the classroom with children half her age. They laugh at the tall girl who can't spell her own name. Halima leads the mockery. The princess who is stupid as a goat, she sings in the courtyard. Zainab hears and does nothing. She smiles. The years blur together in a haze of abuse and humiliation. Amara grows despite it all, grows into a woman so beautiful that servants stop in their tracks when she passes. Smooth skin like polished mahogany, eyes that shine even after crying, a gentleness in her voice that poverty cannot break. But beauty is dangerous when you have no power to protect it. Zainab sees how men look at Amara and it terrifies her. What if the king finally notices his daughter? What if some wealthy man asks for her hand? She increases the cruelty, harsher work, smaller portions of food, public humiliation at every opportunity. You are nothing, Zainab hisses one morning, slapping Amara hard enough to leave a mark. You'll always be nothing. Amara believes her. By the time she turns 20, hope is a word she barely remembers. Then the debt comes crashing down. Kano village suffers crop failure like nothing in living memory. The soil turns to dust, rivers dry up. King Ibrahim watches his people starve and swallows his pride, sending messengers to neighboring kingdoms begging for help. King Nkiru responds with extraordinary generosity. Grain, yams, rice, livestock, enough to feed 5,000 families through the harsh season. The supplies flood into Kano, and people weep with gratitude. We will repay you, King Ibrahim promised. Every cowrie, every bag of grain, you have my word. But Kano's fortunes don't recover. One bad season becomes 2, then 3. The debt balloons into something impossible. Hundreds of thousands in modern currency, millions in goods. King Ibrahim has nothing left to give, except one thing. My son, King Ibrahim told his council, I will offer my son in marriage to King Nkiru's daughter. Our kingdoms will be bound in alliance. The proposer arrives on a humid afternoon. A messenger in dusty robes bowed before King Nkiru's throne, scroll in hand. King Ibrahim offers his son in marriage to one of your daughters. Accept, and the debt is forgiven. Your kingdoms will be bound in alliance. Zainab's heart nearly stopped. A prince, wealthy, powerful, heir to a kingdom that, despite recent hardships, still controls vast territories and trade routes. She pictured Halima draped in gold, sitting on a throne, giving her grandchildren who will rule nations. My daughter Halima will marry Prince Malik, Zainab announced before the king could speak. King Nkiru shifts uncomfortably. Amara is my eldest. Amara? Zainab's laugh could shatter poetry. You would shame our kingdom by sending that servant girl. Look at her husband. She's fit for nothing but washing floors. Halima is educated, refined, beautiful. Amara is also beautiful, the king said weakly, but his voice carried no conviction. Zainab leans close, her voice dropping to a whisper only he can hear. Send Amara and watch Prince Malik reject her the moment he sees how you've raised her. Is that the humiliation you want? Let Halima represent our family with dignity. The king's resistance crumbled. It always does. What no one in that throne room knows is that Prince Malik has absolutely no intention of marrying blind. At 28 years old, Malik has watched countless women perform for him, batting eyelashes, reciting poetry, showing off accomplishments. They see his title, his wealth, his power. Not him, never him. He's tired of the theater. I want a wife who will love me for who I am, he tells his closest friend Rashid one night under the stars. Not for what I can give her. Rashid grins. Then let's test them. The plan forms over palm wine and laughter. Malik will disguise himself as a common servant. Rashid will pretend to be the prince, but with a twist. He'll act blind, helpless, dependent, the unfortunate son of a concubine, offered in marriage only because King Ibrahim has no other options. We'll see who shows kindness to a blind man with no power. Malik says, that's the woman I'll marry. 3 weeks later, the delegation arrives at King Nkiru's palace. Zainab and Halima dress like queens. Gold jewelry hangs heavy on their necks. Their wrappers cost 500,000 naira each, imported silk that shimmers in sunlight. Halima practices her smile in the mirror for an hour. They expect a prince on a white horse. Instead, they get Rashid. He stumbles into the courtyard, eyes clouded and unfocused, one hand gripping the shoulder of his guide, a plain-looking servant in simple clothes. That servant is Prince Malik, watching everything with sharp, seeing eyes. The silence that follows is deafening. Zainab's face twists through emotions faster than lightning. Shock, disgust, rage. This is Prince Malik. The chief messenger bows. This is the son King Ibrahim offers in marriage to your family. No, Halima backs away, her carefully practiced smile gone. Mother, no, I won't marry a blind man. Tell them I won't. Zainab's mind races. This cannot be the only son. Kings have many children, many wives. Somewhere in Kano, there must be another prince, a real one, whole and powerful. She needs to keep Halima available for when that opportunity reveals itself. Her gaze slides to Amara, standing in the shadows where she always stands, and something wicked crystallizes. Amara will marry him, Zainab announced. The words hit like a physical blow. Amara's head snaps up. What? You heard me. This blind man will be your husband. Be grateful. It's more than a worthless girl like you deserves. King Nkiru opens his mouth, then closes it. He stares at his hands. Amara looks at Rashid, this stranger who cannot see, who stands so still and vulnerable in a room full of people judging him, and something twists in her chest. Not pity, something deeper. She sees how Halima stares at him like he's diseased, how Zainab speaks of him like he's garbage, and she sees the servant beside him, the one with quiet, watchful eyes, who hasn't said a word but seems to notice everything. I will marry him, Amara says softly, not because she wants to, but because someone needs to show this man kindness in a room full of cruelty. Zainab claps her hands together. Wonderful! The wedding is in 3 days. As the delegation is led to their quarters, Rashid, still pretending to be blind, leans towards Malik and whispers, Did you see her face? Yes, Malik whispered.
The wedding preparations are a nightmare designed by Zainab herself. While Halima receives new jewelry and attends feasts with visiting nobles to make connections for her real wedding someday, Zainab says, Amara scrubs the palace floors on her hands and knees. Her wedding wrapper costs nothing because Zainab gives her an old, faded cloth from the storage room. Why waste money on you? Zainab sneers. The blind man won't see you anyway. The servants whisper among themselves, shaking their heads. They've watched Amara grow up, seen her kindness despite the abuse. Old Mama Kande, who works in the kitchen, sneaks Amara extra food when Zainab isn't looking. You deserve better, child, Mama Kande says, pressing a warm roll into Amara's hands. So much better than this. Amara doesn't cry anymore. She's learned that tears change nothing. On the morning of the wedding, she bathes in cold water and braids her own hair. No salon, no extensions, no celebration. Just silence and resignation. She walks to the small ceremonial room where the marriage will take place. Not the grand hall used for royal weddings, but a side room usually reserved for minor court business. Rashid waits there, still playing his role. His eyes remain unfocused, his movements uncertain. Beside him stands Malik in his servant's clothes, watching Amara with an intensity she can feel but doesn't understand. The ceremony is brief and cold. King Nikiru won't meet his daughter's eyes. Zainab wears a satisfied smile. Halima doesn't even attend. When it's done, Amara is married to a blind stranger. The delegation prepares to return to Kano, and Amara will go with them. Good riddance, Zainab mutters as the caravan loads. One problem solved. The journey to Kano takes 3 days. Amara rides in a simple wagon with Rashid and Malik. She expects awkwardness, maybe silence. Instead, something unexpected happens. Rashid stumbles while climbing into the wagon, and Amara reaches out instinctively, not to grab him, not to treat him like he's broken, but to steady him gently. "Thank you," he said. "You're welcome," she replied. During the journey, she didn't pity him. She didn't speak loudly like he was deaf or treat him like a child. She simply treated him like a person. When they stop to eat, she describes the food on his plate, not because she thinks he needs it, but because she wants him to enjoy the meal. There's jollof rice on the left, fried plantains on the right, and grilled chicken in the center. The rice is still warm. Rashid's hand finds the food easily, but his throat tightens with emotion. Back in that palace courtyard, he'd heard the disgust in Halima's voice, seen the revulsion on Zainab's face. But this woman they treated like garbage, speaks to him with dignity. Malik watches everything. He sees how Amara doesn't flinch when Rashid's hand accidentally knocks over a cup, how she refills it without fuss, without making him feel ashamed, how she asks his opinion about the weather, about the landscape, about simple things that make him feel human. On the second night, they camp under stars that blaze across the sky like scattered diamonds. Amara sits by the fire, exhausted but unable to sleep. Malik approaches, still dressed as a servant. "May I sit?" he asks. "Of course," she says. They sit in comfortable silence for a moment. Then Malik speaks, his voice careful. "You didn't want this marriage. It's not a question." Amara stares into the flames. "No one asked what I wanted. Yet you are kind to him, to Rashid. Why wouldn't I be?" She looks genuinely confused. He's done nothing to deserve cruelty. His blindness doesn't make him less than human. Malik's heart pounds. "Many people would disagree. Your sister certainly did." Amara's jaw tightens. Halima has been taught that power and perfection are all that matter. I've been taught differently, though not by choice. She pauses, then adds quietly, "Suffering teaches you to recognize suffering in others." "And what will you do now, married to a blind man, far from home?" She considers this. "I'll do what I've always done. Survive, be kind when I can, hope that kindness matters, even in small ways." She turns to him, her eyes reflecting firelight. "What's your name? Your real name? I've heard them call him Prince Rashid, but no one's told me who you are." Malik hesitates, then smiles. "My name is Malik. Just Malik." "Well, just Malik," she says with the ghost of a smile, the first he's seen from her. "Thank you for being kind to me during this journey. You didn't have to be." He wants to tell her everything right then. wants to drop the act and reveal that she's shown more grace and character in 3 days than most people show in a lifetime. But the test isn't over yet. They reach Kano on the 3rd day. Amara's breath catches when she sees the palace. It's massive, larger than 10 normal houses combined, with gates taller than a 2-story building. Golden decorations gleam in the sunlight. Gardens stretch out in every direction, lush and green, proving that Kano's fortunes have turned around. Her stomach drops. This isn't the poor kingdom she'd imagined. This is wealth beyond anything in her father's domain. "Welcome home," Rashid said beside her, and something in his voice sounds different, stronger. They enter through the main gates. Servants line the pathway, bowing low. Amara's confusion grows. Why would they bow to a blind prince like this? Where is the pity, the dismissive glances she expected? Then they enter the throne room and her world tilts sideways. King Ibrahim sits on an enormous throne, smiling broadly. "Welcome, welcome. Bring forward my son and his new bride." Rashid steps forward and Amara follows, her mind racing. But instead of approaching the throne, Rashid stops in the center of the room. He turns to face Amara and his clouded eyes suddenly clear, sharp, focused, seeing. Amara stumbles backward. "What? How?" "I was never blind," Rashid said gently. But it was Malik who stepped forward now, shedding his servant robes to reveal princely garments underneath. He's transformed, tall, commanding, unmistakably royal. "I am Prince Malik," he said, his voice carrying through the hall. "And this is my dearest friend Rashid. We switched places to test the heart of my future bride." The room spins. Amara can't breathe. You lied?" "We tested," Malik corrected, moving closer. "I've had women throw themselves at me for my title, my wealth, my power. But I wanted a wife who would show kindness to someone with nothing, someone powerless, someone the world had deemed worthless." His eyes shine with emotion. "You showed me exactly who you are, Amara. You treated Rashid with dignity when your own family treated you with contempt. You gave respect when you'd been given none. You showed kindness when you had every reason to be bitter." Tears stream down Amara's face, but she doesn't know if they are from anger, relief, or shock. "So this was all a game? My humiliation, my fear, entertainment for you?" "No," Malik said firmly. He dropped to one knee before her, right there in front of his father and the entire court. "It was the only way I could find someone real, someone true. Amara, you are the kindest, strongest, most genuine person I've ever met. You are exactly the queen this kingdom needs." King Ibrahim rises from his throne, beaming. "My son chose wisely. Welcome, daughter, to your true home." The throne room erupts in celebration. Servants cheer, drummers begin to play. But Amara just stands there, overwhelmed. Malik takes her hand gently. "I know this is shocking. I know you are angry, but please give me a chance to show you the life you deserve. You were treated like nothing in your father's house. Here, you'll be treated like everything." And he means it. Over the following weeks, Malik proves his words. A real wedding is planned, not the shameful ceremony from before, but a celebration worthy of a beloved princess. 5,000 invites receive invitations. Amara's wedding wrapper cost 500,000 naira, shimmering with gold thread. Her salon and hair appointments cost 50,000 more. The feast is legendary. Jollof rice, fried rice, moi moi, pounded yam, egusi soup, bitter leaf soup, grilled goat, fresh fish, snails cooked in pepper sauce, dishes that stretch across tables for hundreds of feet. Musicians play, dancers perform. The celebration lasts 3 days. But the most important moment comes quietly before the wedding. King Nkiru arrives with Zainab and Halima, expecting to be honored as family of the bride. Instead, they are brought before the assembled court. Malik stands beside Amara, his hand in hers, and addresses the crowd. "Let me tell you a story," Malik announces, his voice parrying across the vast throne room. A story about a princess who was treated like a slave in her own father's house. The crowd goes silent. Zainab's face drains of color. Malik continues, describing everything. How Amara was denied education at 4 years old. How she slept on a mat while her stepsister enjoyed luxury. How she scrubbed floors and served meals to the family that should have protected her. How Zainab burned her toys, slapped her, starved her, called her worthless. And when a marriage proposal came, Malik says, his voice hard as iron, this woman, he points at Zainab, saw a chance to discard the stepdaughter she hated. She offered Amara to what she thought was a blind, powerless man, a man she considered beneath her precious daughter. Halima tries to shrink into the crowd, but guards block her path. "You showed me who you truly are," Malik says directly to Zainab. "You showed me cruelty, pride, and a heart as black as midnight. While Amara, the woman you called worthless, showed me kindness, dignity, and grace." King Ibrahim stands, his voice booming. "For your crimes against this princess, against my daughter-in-law, you are hereby banished from both kingdoms. You will live with nothing but the clothes on your back. You are stripped of your title, your wealth, and your position." "No!" Zainab screams, falling to her knees. "Please, I was only—" "You are only cruel," Malik interrupts, "and cruelty has consequences." Guards escort Zainab and Halima from the palace. The crowd watches in stunned silence as the woman who once walked like a queen is dragged away like a criminal, her daughter sobbing beside her. But King Nkiru remains, standing alone and ashamed. Amara walks toward him slowly. The entire court watches, holding their breath. This is the man who failed her, who let his wife abuse her daughter for 16 years, who never stood up for her, never protected her, never chose her. She stops in front of him. Tears stream down the old king's face. "Amara," he whispers, his voice breaking, "my daughter, I failed you. I failed you in every way a father can fail. I was weak when I should have been strong, blind when I should have seen, silent when I should have spoken." He falls to his knees before her. "I don't deserve your forgiveness, I know that. But I'm begging you, please know that I'm sorry, so desperately sorry." The room is so quiet you could hear a pin drop. Amara looks down at her father, this broken man who let her suffer. Part of her wants to walk away, wants to let him feel the abandonment she felt every day of her childhood. But she thinks about the bitterness that would plant in her heart, the poison it would become. "I forgive you," she said softly. King Nkiru sobbed openly. Thank you, my daughter." But forgiveness doesn't erase the past, Amara continued, her voice stronger now. "It means I'm choosing not to let your failures define my future. I'm choosing to be better than what was done to me." She helps him to his feet, and the crowd erupts in applause. The wedding ceremony that follows is pure magic. Amara wears a crown of gold, her wrapper gleaming in the sunlight. Malik stands beside her, looking at her like she's the only person in the world. When they exchange vows, there's no pretense, no games, just two people who found each other in the most unlikely way. "I promise to honor you," Malik says, "the way you should have been honored all along." "I promise to trust you," Amara replies, "the way you've shown me I can." The celebration lasts until dawn. Music fills the air. People dance until their feet ache. And when Malik and Amara finally retire to their chambers, she turns to him with wonder in her eyes. Is this real? Or will I wake up on my mat in the storage room? Malik takes her hands. This is real. You're home, Amara. Finally home. The years that follow prove him right. Amara becomes a beloved queen, not just in title, but in heart. She remembers what it's like to suffer, to be overlooked, to be dismissed. So she uses her position to help others who suffer the same way. She opens schools for girls who've been denied education. She funds programs for orphans and stepchildren who face abuse. She visits the sick in their homes, bringing food and medicine. The people call her the people's princess, and they mean it with every fiber of their being. Malik watches his wife transform their kingdom with her compassion, and he falls in love with her more and more every day. On their 5th anniversary, he tells her that test wasn't just about finding a kind wife. It was about finding the right queen, and I found both in you. Amara's relationship with her father slowly heals. King Nkiru visits often, and each time he tells her how proud he is. It doesn't erase the past, but it builds something new, something fragile but real. As for Zainab and Halima, their last seen begging in a distant village, their beauty faded, their pride shattered. Some say Halima eventually married a poor farmer and learned humility. Some say Zainab died bitter and alone. Amara doesn't seek them out. She's moved beyond revenge into something greater: peace. 10 years after that fateful wedding, Amara stands in the palace gardens watching children play. They're students from her schools brought to the palace for a festival. They laugh and run freely, their futures bright with possibility. Malik joins her, wrapping an arm around her waist. What are you thinking about? About that girl who scrubbed floors and slept on a mat. About how she thought her life would never change. About how wrong she was. Not wrong, gently corrects Malik, just waiting for the right moment, for the right test. Amara leans into him, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of gold and crimson. I'm glad I passed. You didn't just pass, my love, Malik whispers. You changed everything. A final reflection. Amara's story teaches us that our current circumstances don't define our destiny. The cruelty you face today doesn't determine the kindness you'll receive tomorrow. When life puts you through tests, when people treat you as worthless, remember that your character in those dark moments reveals who you truly are. True beauty isn't found in titles, wealth, or perfect circumstances. It's found in how you treat others when you have nothing to gain. Kindness costs nothing, but returns everything. The people who hurt you may prosper for a season, but wickedness eventually collapses under its own weight. And perhaps most importantly, forgiveness isn't about excusing what was done to you. It's about refusing to let the past poison your future. Hold on during the hardships. Treat